All right, let's jump straight in. We're taking a look at the wild, supercharged world of AI as it is right now in 2026. Because let's be honest, the last year wasn't just about steady progress. Nope, it was more like a massive earthquake that completely redrew the map. And that quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? The great fracture. That's the perfect way to think about where we are now. The idea that everyone was kind of pushing in the same direction, that's over. It's splintered into a bunch of intense, high-stakes battles. So here's our game plan. We're going to navigate these new battlefields one by one. We'll kick things off with the fracture itself, then get into the wars for the market, for the tech under the hood, for real-world impact, and for global control. And then we'll look ahead to what's coming next. So what do we actually mean by this great fracture? Well, it means that 2025 was the year the AI community just broke apart. The single road everyone was traveling on suddenly split into a dozen different highways, each with its own destination, its own rules, and its own champions. And that leads us directly to our first major conflict, the war for the market. This is the big one, the one you read about in the headlines. It's a full-on clash of titans for commercial dominance, where giant companies are betting billions on how you and I are going to buy, sell, and use AI. Right now, the market has basically split into three main camps. First up, you've got the reasoning giants. We're talking OpenAI, Google, Anthropic. Their strategy? Raw brute force power. Then you have the open weight rebellion, led by folks like Meta and Mistral, whose whole mission is to give this powerful AI away to everyone. And finally, you've got the efficiency titans, like Alibaba and DeepSeek, who are just changing the game by delivering incredible performance for way, way less money. So this war forces a really tough choice on pretty much every business out there. You have to pick a side. Do you go with a proprietary model? You get top-notch security, killer performance. Or do you bet on open source? You save a ton of money, you can customize it to your heart's content, and you're not locked into one vendor. This is the big strategic question in enterprise AI today. Okay, so let's move from the boardroom to the server room, because underneath that commercial battle, there's an even deeper fight going on. The war for the engine. This is the technical arms race to build the actual architecture that's going to power the next generation of AI. For years, there's been one undisputed king of the hill, the transformer. Its secret sauce is something called self-attention. It's this wild ability to look at every single piece of information you give it and understand how it all relates. That's what gives models like GPT that almost spooky ability to get context and nuance. But every king has an Achilles heel, and for the transformer, it's a huge one. As you feed it more information, the cost to process it doesn't just go up, it explodes. It's called quadratic scaling, and it's a massive bottleneck. It makes it insanely expensive to process really long things, like a whole book or a company's entire code base. And that weakness, it has thrown the doors wide open for a whole new wave of challengers. You've got these slick new architectures, like state-space models and modern RNNs, that are designed to solve this exact problem. They're built for efficiency, they're faster, they're cheaper, and they just might be the future of AI's core engine. Now, all this fighting over markets and models, it's not just an academic exercise. It is fueling a war for reality, where these mind-blowing new technologies are being aimed at some of the world's toughest, most urgent problems. I mean, just look at pain management. For the first time in more than 2 decades, we're seeing a true innovation. New AI-assisted drugs can actually block specific pain neurons without the addictive nightmare of opioids. This is a game changer for public health. Or think about our food supply. With climate change making things crazier every year, this is everything. Using CRISPR, scientists are designing crops with root systems that can literally seek out water more efficiently, building in drought resistance from the ground up. And then there's stuff that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Self-healing infrastructure. We're talking about new smart coatings with these tiny little capsules inside. If a crack forms, the capsules burst and release a polymer that seals the damage automatically. Imagine that for bridges and buildings. And the list just keeps going. AI is now helping predict which cancer patients will respond to certain drugs. It's making portable, on-demand diagnostics a reality. It's even starting to automate the process of scientific discovery itself, putting research on hyperdrive. So, with AI's power growing this fast, it's no surprise we've stumbled into another war, the global war for control. This is the fight over who gets to write the rules for AI. and it's pitting some completely different philosophies against each other. On one side, you have the US. And this policy statement from late 2025, it could not be clearer. The goal is global AI dominance through a minimally burdensome framework. In other words, let's innovate, let's compete, and let's win. But then you look across the pond, and the European Union is playing a totally different game with its AI Act. It's not about dominance, it's about safety. They've built this whole risk-based pyramid. Anything deemed an unacceptable risk, like social scoring, it's banned. High-risk stuff gets strict rules. It's a completely opposite way of thinking about how to handle this technology. So, after a whole year of fractures and these competing wars, where are we heading? Let's get to our final section and look at the next big battlefield that's already taking shape for 2026. This quote just nails it. All the fights we just talked about over markets, models, rules, that was just the prelude, the warm-up act. The next giant leap isn't about a slightly smarter chatbot, it's about the rise of autonomous AI agents. So what does this actually mean? Well, think about how we use AI now. We give it a single command, right? Write this email, summarize this report. We're moving away from that. The future is about deploying whole teams of specialized agents that can handle a full workflow from start to finish. We're on the verge of the digital coworker, an AI that can manage a whole process on its own. And that brings us right back to where we started. As these powerful digital coworkers start to show up in our offices and our lives, it forces the question, are we really ready for the next great fracture? The one they're about to cause in our jobs, our economy, and our society? That's the big question hanging over all of us as we head deeper into 2026.